So good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Coach Stacy and you have joined my meetup group. And tonight we are going to be talking about depression and information overload and some tips on how we can handle it all. So I am currently, I am not a just for everyone's awareness. I am not a therapist. I am a certified teacher in New Jersey. I have a master's in instruction, and I also have master's degrees in human resource management, public administration, information systems management. I also have an MBA with a focus in project management. And one of the things I'm working on right now, I'm actually working on getting project management certified. So that's been taking my time. So that's partly why I haven't had as many events. But I hope to be ramping that back up soon. So because I'm hoping to get my certification exam done by next month. But so just a little bit of information. But I am also in a doctoral program on organizational leadership for a doctorate in psychology. So I am interested in helping people and motivation. So part of my interest as a teacher is always to motivate students to get them to recognize the importance and value of information and how to use it, and taking frameworks and allowing those frameworks to help guide them to success. So I'm really into saying, okay, here is, here's the underlying framework where we kind of get all kinds of information and all kinds of things thrown at us. But I'm a big believer if we can take an appropriate framework, or like a roadmap is what I mean, then that can help us to be more focused and more successful. So those are just a few of the things that I'm interested in. And I think someone is having a little trouble connecting with us. I'm not sure what's going on. But keep trying. Whoever is having a little trouble. All right. So when we talk about so again, welcome to everybody. I ask that everyone be kind to each other, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you again about how too much information can cause depression, overload, can lead to anxiety, fear. We have a lot of information kind of really being thrown at us in so many different areas of our lives now, more than ever before. And it comes fast and furious, doesn't it? So we really need to sit and make sense of it. And the problem is that, what do we need to focus on and what don't we need to focus on? Right? We get all of this information. It's like, ooh, what's going on here? What's going on there? Our brains are like being split in a zillion pieces as we're trying to look all over the place. And it's like, oh my gosh, and then you have the news, you have entertainment news, and then you have, everybody in the world sharing a thought or idea on Facebook, Twitter, any other social media platform. I can't even think of them all. I actually try to stay off of them personally. I only like to look at animal videos because I think they're hysterical. I'm a big animal person. So here's what we want to remember. And success is going to come to us when we can focus. Okay. What it is that people who achieve great success, the reason they are able to do it is they have amazing ability, or not even amazing ability. It's just they have figured out how to get their brains to focus. They're focused on their roadmap. They've set their goals. They remain focused on them. They are able to cut and forgive me as I talk with my hands. So you may or may not see all my hands in every shot, but they are able to squash out and ignore all of the other information going on around them. And they are able to stay focused on those goals that they are setting for themselves. They are doing it on a regular basis. And when I say regular basis, I really mean most likely daily basis. They have those goals in front of them. Because let me start out by asking a question. And if you all wouldn't mind, if you want to chime in, how many of you are look at social media postings, read on latest entertainment, listen to the news? How many of you are doing that on a regular or daily basis? I should say, when I say regular, I probably mean daily. Can anyone want to give me any input on that? You are muted when you come in. Just unmute yourself, and then when you're done talking, if you just remute yourself. Nobody? Or is anyone being, feel like social media or the news or too much information out there? Oh, Lamb.
Nobody else is saying anything.
Oh, thanks for helping me
out. Yeah, I don't want to admit that I spent too much time on the social media. It's definitely getting focused is hard. Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to improve that.
Okay. So really what my point is, and my reason for asking is, I wanted to be able to say, do you feel it benefiting you other than blatant curiosity? Well, I'm just curious what's going on. And
yeah, not
do
all the
you
time.
feel that? Okay. So, is it helping you achieve your goals? And when I say that, have you laid out goals and say, okay, I am on a path to becoming, so I'm just going to give some kind of random thing, a financial analyst. It's what I dream about. That's what I want to do. And I want everything in my world to revolve around that. Whatever, and that's just a basic example. So whatever goals, or maybe you want to start a community event, a community organization, are you focusing on that? Is looking at the social media, the news, is that helping you? So, or, if anybody wants to chime in on that, share any kind of opinion, feel free to do that. My guess is no, because I know personally, I've had to evaluate, is this helping me? Is this making me feel better? Is this making my life better? Or is it making my life worse? Or not even worse, but it's just not making it better. It's not improving my situation. It's what we would call a distraction. And this doesn't even have to do with whether information is true or false. It's just the fact that it's just out there and in front of us and stuff we have to read and look at is what makes it a distraction. And it's a distraction from us achieving our goals, the goals that we've set out for ourselves, right? So, if I'm sitting there looking at, Twitter or videos, or, playing video games, or whatever else I'm doing, is that allowing me to take the training and the classes I need to achieve my goals to become a financial analyst? Well, no. Is it helping me to What if I want to start a company, or I want to start a small business? Maybe I want to start a restaurant. Is looking at social media or the news, is it helping you? Now, it's nice to be aware. I'm not saying it's not nice to be aware, but the fact that it is taking away your focus from what it is that you really need to do, that's what the problem is. So our brains can't really handle all of this information. Oh, I see a hand raised. Yeah, Evie, go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say it is absolutely a distraction. Like for example, for me, I told myself, because I work from home, so I told myself once my kids go to school, I'm gonna, work out and blah blah blah. And I would always like catch myself on my phone, absentmindedly browsing
I
Instagram,
know.
and next
I
thing you know, I
know.
gotta clock in for work. And I started telling myself, do not go straight on the phone in the morning. Just go once they leave, go on the treadmill, go lift weights, like don't touch your phone. And it's crazy how that's like so difficult for us nowadays.
And and it is, and I do want to say it's not completely our fault, because these the people who create this, they
Yes.
know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always say trace the money, right? Trace who wants your attention and why. They usually want to sell you something.
Yes.
I
There
always
is a documentary. There is a documentary on Netflix that talks about that. How like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all these things,
and even the
their
phone, like even the way
algorithm.
it's created. It's
Yes.
I'm holding a phone here just so you know. Uh, the way
It's
that they
meant
are
to get
created,
you to
it is.
scroll and click
It
like these
absolutely is.
10-second videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's like I get to, so I'm sucked into it too. I start on you want to know what I get sucked into? I'll tell you guys. I get sucked into, for whatever reason, this little solitaire cash game on my because I just think, oh, I make money, but I don't really, because it just you spend it. I'm like, I don't dare put money into that. I'm a card player. I love playing cards, but I can just get sucked into this and easily play it for an hour or two and just totally mindlessly,
Yeah,
right?
that's like me when I play Property Brothers on my phone,
Oh, okay.
and they're like I'll win like an hour time and I'm like, "Oh, now I have to play for an hour," and
They know
yeah.
just what to do. And then, oh, they can send you little ads and, ooh, buy this or that. We want your attention. We don't want you to achieve your goals. We want you to
Yeah.
pay attention to our stuff, right? And it's a really unfortunate, and it's like the worst thing. And I'm one of those worst customers when I go into stores wherever there's people and I know they're salespeople and I know they want to sell me something. I get really, I get really kind of like,
Hmm.
because I'm like, don't be selling me stuff. I don't like to be sold stuff, and especially on the phones, I try to um I'll unfollow things. And they talk about these email blasts, like when you sign up on certain websites, and then you get like a zillion emails from the
Yeah.
people, and I'm like, and they're like, they'll try to send you these little email messages. I'm like, that's not a personalized email message. That's going out to a whole bunch of people, and I know it is.
Yeah, I just
Right?
actually unsubscribed to like so many mailing lists because I was getting so many emails.
It is. And I'm
But
like,
and I'm like, I know I didn't sign up for this, but the thing is, like certain websites, they sell your data, they sell your info. So, companies that you didn't even give your email address who can have your email.
yeah.
So I just find myself every day unsubscribe, unsubscribe.
Oh my God. I'll get like in the
Hmm.
morning, 50 of them or whatever. And I will just, I can really sit all day and just be deleting email messages.
Hmm.
Another distraction, right? I think these folks where they think, oh, well, we want to keep in touch with our customers. I Yeah, no, I don't, I buy one thing on Amazon. Yeah, I don't need to hear from you like constantly. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's really taking away, and you make some really great points, and I'm so glad you mentioned it. And this like our brains multitasking. Okay, look at this, we want to sell you this. Look at that, we want to sell you that. And it's like, well, where does it end? And then we buy so much stuff, and then our houses become cluttered. And you want to know what else damages our brains is when we have too much clutter.
Hmm.
It's better to be
It's my mother-in-law. She gets all these ads from TikTok and she buys like everything. And then she's like, I have so much crap in my house. And we're like, what? We wonder why. TikTok, you're the ideal TikTok
yeah.
clientele.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. And it's a vicious circle. And then you need a bigger house, or you need storage bins, and we're keeping all these places
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
business. And what is it doing for us? So it's kind of like sitting and having a meditation. And if you can go out and walk, that's one thing that I do. I'll like try to walk, and I try to clear my mind and just think about, what is it that I really need and want? What's good for me? Uh, as a way to try to bring my brain back to focus. And I really try to have things in place that I know I need to do, so I don't get sucked into the phone. It's bad enough people suck you into texting, and it's like,
Yeah.
can you
I hate
call me?
texting.
I know. So it is a vicious cycle. And I think, we need to be aware of it. And I think in talking about it with other people too,
Yeah.
and talking about, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. We can talk about our goals. I'm trying to prioritize these other things, and here's what's getting in my way. So if you know that you usually hear from me, I'm reducing when I'm going to be on the phone. I may only be on there between 7 or 8 p.m. Right? I'm just giving something
Hmm.
random. And if we can work on communicating that with other people, because then it may increase the awareness for others too. Right? So maybe, I think we all need to support each other as we try and do this. And then, because you've got these people constantly selling to you, they want your attention.
Yeah.
And
And there's like such this pressure to be on social media. Like I don't have Facebook. I only have like Instagram, and that's mostly for family. Um, and people would like send me links, and I'm like, I don't have Facebook, or they'll send me, a Reddit link or something. I'm like, I don't have Reddit, and they're like, oh, come on, like complaining. I'm like, I don't want Facebook. I don't want these things. These distractions. It's a waste of time. And I had Facebook for like 15 years or something, and I just deleted it like a year ago,
good
and
for
I don't miss
you.
it. I don't miss it at all.
I'll tell you. So I had over, I wasn't that into it, but like over 500 friends. And I'm like, I don't talk to these people.
Exactly.
Right?
Mhm.
I had no offense, nice people. It doesn't mean that I don't want to be friends with them in real life, but I just, unfriended a whole bunch. The only people I have are just some actually people I went to school with, and a couple people I used to work with. And the only reason I still have the Facebook is I have photos that I had uploaded. I had a bunch
Mhm.
of family photos, and I didn't I just didn't want to lose them, and I like to be able to pull them up here and there. So,
Right.
but
Yeah, I did too, but like I noticed like it was making me like not depressed, but like seeing the things people were posting and just the drama on there is like really toxic. That's
it
why I don't have
is
Twitter or anything like that. Just it brings your mood down, and we already
absolutely.
have enough stuff in life to bring us down. So
Absolutely. And you
um
are absolutely right when you are seeing that. This
mhm,
is leading to mental depression.
mhm,
I know when I first got a computer, around early 2000s, and I'm spending so much time, and I went into a really bad depression too. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
these being on there too long, and the amount of time can be different for everybody, but it will cause depression. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
feeling that, this is causing it, and it's really unfortunate that so many people are not
I read a
realizing
study
it, I
recently
guess.
that all these apps and stuff are causing like people in society to lose focus. We are like less focused now than ever. Like our ability to focus on something is drastically decreasing. And it's sad. Like even my own daughter, she's 17, and she in school they don't exchange phone numbers. They're like, what's your Snapchat, what's this, like all these apps. And she's like, oh, I don't have. So I let her get a Snapchat. I gave her a choice. I was like, you want Snapchat or Instagram? She's like, I want Snapchat, because if I have Instagram, I'm going to feel pressured to post something and I don't want to post.
Okay.
So I was like, even my own child, knows like this is what something like Instagram would do, make you feel pressure, like you have to post something. And this is such unnecessary stress.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And um y- y- I think people, we really need to realize it. And something that I'm passionate about, I taught middle school math, and I'd like to even teach high school or college math and statistics,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get kids to focus when they're not used to it. You've got the phones. It's kind of like, what do you do as a teacher, right? To break them of these habits and to give them those skills, and
Mm-hmm.
to let them know, I'm not just talking at you. I'm not just telling you this just to bother you or to take you away from something you love. I'm really telling you this because I really know it will benefit you. It really is important to be able to decipher these things and to break away, so that can be really smart. But your daughter sounds really smart, and I really applaud you for um, having a young child who is so good at being aware. So that's great that they're getting aware of these things.
Yeah.
um so a suggestion that I was going to present to everyone is coming up with a plan. And I know, Evie, you were mentioning that you had your plan. And what I would encourage you to do, and anyone to do, is writing it down and kind of carrying it around with you. I feel like we all want to just type and even put it in our phones and our calendar, but then we're liable to be sucked in, right?
Right.
You go and you look at your schedule on your phone, and then what happens? Oh, here, wait, let me look at this email. Oh, this, I got this alert. Oh, I got to look at this, and I got right. It can happen so
It's
easily.
funny you say that, because to avoid that, I actually bought an actual calendar,
Oh, good
a
for
wall
you.
calendar, to avoid using the calendar in my phone. Because
Okay.
I'm like, oh, to do all this work just to put a thing in my phone when I can just have it in the calendar right here next to my
Absolutely.
desk. And I love it so
Absolutely.
much better.
It is. And, I've, I've mentioned this before. If you were to see my desk, I am crazy about, I'm a pen klepto, number one, but I also have a ton of notepads and notebooks, and I'm like crazy about buying journal books and stuff. So I love to write things down versus typing it, because it's like, oh yeah, well, you can type everything, but then you're going to be on your computer and you're liable to get sucked into other things.
Mm-hmm.
You got to kind of keep things separate, right? And like, oh, and here's another thing that drives me crazy. Um, the the home styles. I don't know what kind of home you live in, but they talk about like the open floor plans now,
Mm-hmm.
and they tend to drive me crazy because while I admit, yes, it looks like you have more space when you have an open floor plan. However, I like to only see what I need to see in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to block things off. If I'm in my dining room, I just want to see things for the dining room. I want all walls around it. I don't want to look at my living room stuff. I don't want to look at the kitchen. Like I don't want to take in any more information that I have to. So while it's nice if maybe if you're a mom and you're like watching your kids in a playroom, so you have an open kitchen. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, I want my walls.
Right.
Because I'm like, I like to fragment and segment stuff. And I remember even when I was teaching this one, I went into another, I was teaching math and then I went to the social studies teacher classroom. And oh my God, I was in information overload because she had like a zillion things hanging from the ceiling, the walls. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't think straight in her room. So I need to like separate things out. So just things to be aware of and know that, it's not just you. These things are a problem when there's too much information, when we don't have a plan, when we're not using the best tools at the time,
Mm-hmm.
which having a schedule on the phone isn't always the best tool because we can get sucked into other things. That's why it's, sometimes, you have stores and they want to be all the ones like I don't know if you go to Walmart, like, but I do. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so Walmart, oh, now it's got to have a grocery store. Now it's got to have the clothing. Now it's got to have this and that. It's like, look, you don't have to be everything sometimes, right? Because it's like, oh my God, too big information overload. I want to go to different stores sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So just a few things to think about. And if you can on that schedule, and is and one other thing that I want to mention before the schedule is like the timer. So you can either get a standalone timer, which they sell at the dollar store. Um, Again, I'm trying to not use the phone if we don't have to, but you can use your
Right.
phone too, as has the timer, right? Or maybe you have a watch that has a timer. As I'm looking at my Fitbit watch and I'm trying to think if there's a timer on there.
It
Um,
does. I have one too.
oh, does it? Okay. Yeah, you know what? I've got to find that on here. Um, Putting a schedule, setting that timer so you know when like a half hour or an hour has passed, because again, it can be like, right? Time
Yeah.
can just escape us when we get distracted by some of these whether it's social media, the news, a game, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh wow, oh yeah, let me remember, now I need to turn my attention to something else. Sometimes that can be helpful. So scheduling time, like, okay, I'm going to look at these emails, I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. Maybe I'll do it 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening, or whatever makes sense, but trying not to. And then letting people know. I think that there should be more um, auto replies to people where it's like, I'm not looking at emails right now, but I
Right.
will gladly get back to you between these hours.
Yeah, like
Right.
the driving one when like you can put on when you're driving and it would text you
Yes.
that I'm driving. That's why I actually, to limit my time on the phone or like getting distracted, I turned off all my notifications
Good
for
for
all my
you.
apps, like any Instagram notifications, anything. Only I can obviously get text messages, obviously, but just apps, I turned them all off
Good for you. Yeah.
individually
And
because
I did the same thing. I'm like, why am I keep seeing this alert? Like, I don't care about this, because they'll give you an alert for everything and
yeah.
anything and everything, right? Um, and then something else that I suggest is keeping a journal of your activities. So trying to lay out your goals for the day and then journal, what did you do? What did you accomplish? What didn't you accomplish and why? getting to the bottom of all these things kind of helps bring solutions to the surface, as it's like, oh wait, I was doing this for this long. It's like being on a diet where they tell you, track everything you eat so that you can follow along and figure out, okay, well, I ate too much here. I ate, 2 pieces of cake here. Maybe I should have just had a half a piece instead, right? So we really kind of want to go on this activity diet where we are tracking our activities, what we do, and why we're doing it. Because is it in our best interest or is it not in our best interest? That's really what we need to evaluate, when we realize, why are we not able to focus? Why can't we um, make decisions? Why can't we um, move forward? Why can't we reach great success in whatever areas? Are we removing these? We need to remove these barriers that are becoming a problem for us. So I would definitely encourage you, write down what you're doing when you're doing it. Look at it and say why, right? Whoops. Social media dilemmas, don't get sucked in. And I would say, I was on this, track what websites you go to, websites, apps, whatever you're on. I'm on my phone. I spent X amount of time on Snapchat. I spent X amount of time on Instagram. Here's what it did for me. Here's what I missed out on doing for myself because I was looking at these things instead, right? So just kind of bringing it to the surface of our realization. I feel like we can't do things to fix ourselves until we realize where we might be going wrong. And just thinking about these things a little bit differently. And let me see, do I have anything else? Oh, and again, the schedule, try to stick to it, talk it out with others, let them know, hey, I am doing this deliberately. That's right. I'm using paper and not my laptop. Why? So I don't get sucked into going on the internet because it's so easy to do. And once you're on there, ooh, it's so easy just to, go through 7-8 hours of being on there without even thinking, right? It just happens. And then try to remember to stay hydrated, take breaks. I'm drinking some water here while I'm talking to you because my mouth tends to get dry. I have allergies, so I'm trying to do that. I would encourage, trying to go outside and walk. I know the weather doesn't always cooperate with us, depends on where you live. If you have exercise equipment or walking through your house, walking up and down, if you have a flight of stairs, I still swear by, hey, if you got a flight of stairs, you have a workout, right? Because you can walk up and down them and, totally be doing some great cardio there. Another suggestion, something that I started doing more is cleaning my house. I'm like, okay, I need to step away. I'm cleaning my house. I'm changing the trash. I'm mopping the floor. I'm emptying my dishwasher, making the beds, anything to keep our minds going and not and doing something that's good for us, right? Having, and as much as we all hate cleaning, because I know I hate cleaning and I'm sure everybody else does too, but if you look up the studies, you'll find it's really better for us to be organized and have things cleaner. It allows us to think clearer. It allows us to build and have that focus once we have eliminated the clutter too.
Yeah, it's like you cluttering your mind as well.
Absolutely, you said it. And the fact is, we can't achieve our goals if our minds are cluttered. And that's really what we're trying to get to, so, but I thank you so much. So those are just a few ideas. I hope, I'm sure you know them already, and I hope that, these were some good reminders for you. Do we have any, does anyone have any thoughts that you wanted to share? Any other ideas, good practices for others that you may want to mention? I know, Evie, you've shared some great ones. I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Mhm. Thanks. I would just say definitely, I mean, I can only speak from experience, like definitely physical activity has definitely helped with my mood. Um, I bought, we're in spring, so it's raining a lot. So because I like to go on walks, like
That's great.
45-minute hour walks,
Good for
and
you.
in my neighborhood. And so, like, when it rains, obviously you can't do that. So, like, I told my husband, I'm like, I want a treadmill. And for Valentine's Day, he ends up buying me a treadmill. So now when it's
Great.
nasty outside, or snowing or raining, I could still get my walk in.
Good for you.
Aside from also, like, running up and downstairs to cleaning the house, but like I get that little time to myself to like walk, and I feel great after it.
It's
And it
so
really
true.
boosts my mood. Like I'm always like more like talkative, more cheerful. Not saying, 24/7, but definitely I feel a difference. I started like weightlifting. It really like they weren't joking when they said it boosts your endorphins,
You're
your
absolutely
all those good hormones. So
Yes, you're absolutely right. And it's hard because when you're when you're, maybe we'll just give an example. Say you're laying on the couch and it's like, oh, but I don't have the energy. I don't feel so great. I don't want to do it. And I know for the same thing for me at the holidays, I got a treadmill and I also got a stair stepper. And it
mhm,
really does make a difference. And it's like
mhm.
you don't even have to spend hours and hours.
Nope.
Um, if you can get 10 minutes a few times, I shoot to like, okay, well, I may not get like a whole hour block to walk, but I can get a bunch of 10-minute walks in,
Mhm,
so we don't need to say, oh, but I can't do it for an hour. Oh, but I can't do it for 2 hours. Oh, but I can't do that. But
mhm.
can you break it into smaller blocks that are more manageable so you're at least doing something? And I
Yeah,
know I just give
absolutely.
the stares because I'm always like, well, it's something, and
Mhm.
it's cardio. So
Yeah.
I'm always like, I the reason I always think of stairs is because I would work in Center City, Philadelphia, and I'd take the train in and you have to go up the stairs out of the train station and you get, and the same thing in
Yeah.
Manhattan. And
Yeah, I'm
when you've
from
got,
New York, so I
okay.
know.
And when you got people behind you, it's like you better hustle and get up those stairs before
Mhm.
people try to trample you, right? So
Yep.
I'm like, "Oh, I got to be in shape to climb those stairs."
Yep.
So I like to think about that. And Deborah, were you trying to say something? I'm sorry, Deborah, your hand's up. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's okay. I was just like listening to everything that you guys were saying, and I could totally relate to the information overload, especially on social media. I'm fairly new to social media, and I'm kind of old school, so it's like I was curious to just kind of see what it was all about. So I think I kind of got on Facebook like maybe about, I don't know, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, but I have definitely discovered that it is a total distraction, and it's like, I find like I'm more of a people person where I just kind of like to connect with people face to face or through phone, mostly being old
Yeah.
school, and just being out with nature, almost like what Eva was saying. I love to go for walks and I love connecting with nature, especially sunrises, as you can see the
Yeah,
sunrise.
that's a great
But
one.
I also big into photography, so I my favorite things to take is nature shots or animals. And to me, that's where I feel like nature brings me back to center, or exercising brings my focus back, in terms of just being able to do some of those types of things, I think makes a huge difference in being able to, take your health and your well-being to the next level. And I do agree that, organizing yourself or decluttering your home, is very symbolic to, your whole health and well-being makeup.
Great. Thank you, Deborah. That's great. Great
Yeah.
input. And it's a shame that it's even have to say old school with
I
all these
know,
things because
but it's like, it's so true.
I
right?
know it is true. But the fact of the matter is it's, new doesn't make it better. Right? Just because
I personally don't like where things are going technology wise.
I
It just like reminds me of like the Terminator, the movie The Terminator.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
just like, I personally would rather talk on the phone. My nieces and nephews, it's like very difficult to get them to talk on the phone because everybody just wants to text,
I know, and I'm like,
it's just
what's-
easier. It's easier for them to do that, but it's also makes it challenging, it sucks up your time. It just sucks up a lot
does.
of time.
It does,
Yeah.
and it does not help my arthritis one bit.
Yeah, it's
Trying to
just,
do it either, and I'm like,
And texting is like so impersonal. Like
I agree.
I've had many. It's easy to misinterpret someone's tone via text. So sometimes, like me, me and my husband, when we first started dating, we'll get into arguments, but it would just be because we misinterpreted the tone of the message. And
Yeah.
we just decided we're not going to
Exactly.
text important things anymore.
Good
We're
for
going to talk on the
you.
phone.
Good for you.
Exactly. Try to get my nieces and nephews to do that though. They just won't. They won't do it. It's like you like trying to get my nephew who's like 21 years old. I mean, it's like these kids have grown up with social media and texting. This is like their end thing. That it's like getting them to try to talk on the phone is like I don't
Yeah.
understand how they're going to go for interviews. I don't understand how they're going to like get a job. I don't quite get that.
And why it's just so hard to do. Why, I've heard other people like, oh, I'm not a phone person. And it's kind of like, why? Like, why can't you use your voice? And I know
Mhm.
personally, I'm a person, as you guys can probably tell, I'm a pretty, what I consider like an animated person. I love to talk with my hands. I use facial gestures, and I kind of have a little bit of a sarcastic wit. I'm a big Seinfeld fan and kind of like
Same.
that. I like that. I like to throw in my little sarcastic comments. And I like to laugh in between. And I can't convey that on a text message.
Yes. I'd be curious to know, since you were a prior school teacher, like how is it in the school system with reaching some of these kids that are, face to face? Are they able to socialize in a way that makes you feel like they can hold a conversation well enough, or is social media, really affecting their communication skills?
So, I taught between around 2008 in between to 2014. So it's been a little bit of time for me, but I do feel like there was definitely impediments and blockers. The one charter school I was at, they wouldn't allow the student, they could have the phones, but they weren't allowed to have them out. So they'd have to remain in their book bags. But I definitely felt like there were, communication issues. And, I'm like, gosh, how do you solve this? Because if the parents think it's okay, or if they're not realizing where the issues are, how do you argue with them?
There should be a course on there should be a course literally on information overload and the effects that it has on your brain and, on your health and well-being.
Yeah.
And
And
seriously, I see some parents giving their kids like that are like 5, 7 years old a phone,
I know.
and
And
they're
I'm
playing
like,
games already on the phone.
yeah.
So,
And I'm like,
to preoccupy them so that they don't have to like be bothered with, them creating challenges for the parents.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I mean, it's one thing, they're in the store and they're holding something, but I feel like
Yeah.
to constantly be doing that, like, and what saddens me is when if I'm at a restaurant and I see, a table and the parents are there with their kids
Yeah.
and
And
the
everybody,
parents are
yeah.
sitting there on the phone ignoring the
But
kids.
everybody, like you see it in some cases, you see everybody, nobody's looking and talking, to each other. They're on the phone and
Yeah.
everybody's like, either texting or doing games or whatever. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
personally, I saw what was breaking my heart. I saw like a mom and she had 2 kids and she was basically, and they didn't have the phones, the kids, but the mom did. And the kids were like trying to get her attention and she's just on
Oh,
the phone ignoring them. And I'm like, oh, this is breaking
yeah.
my heart.
There's so many stories, like, I mean, there's so many great conversations that you could be having as a family sitting down to a meal,
Yeah.
and it's just to see so much of that, phone stuff happening. And it's like, yeah, I like what Eva was saying or Evie, I'm sorry, was saying, because like my husband and I, we try to do the same thing. Like when we go out, especially to eat, or, the phones, put it away, like, cause you can
Yeah.
easily get pulled in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like now when I go to like the grocery, anytime I'm interacting with a young person, and when I say that, I mean maybe like a teenager to a 20 something, if I'm at a fast food place or the grocery store, I definitely feel like their line of reasoning or like how they do things. And I'm kind of like scratching my head a little. I'm
Mm,
like, there's just, they seem very socially awkward. And I feel like they shouldn't, like skills that I'm sensing are missing, like
okay.
communication skills
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And and even as I try to communicate to them, like they seem very taken aback or like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you got this. Like, I feel like the way they interact is just something isn't quite right as to
Yeah.
what I would be used to.
I just
And
wonder if they're noticing that in the school system. That's why I was just curious about that, because, me personally, I am like, I pick up on energy,
yes,
like, and I
too.
was like, impressed to see kind of this topic, because I was like, I thought it was just me. I was like, well, am I the only one that's experiencing this? Because,
No, not at all.
like, I haven't been on social media very long, and I'm like, this is like draining the hell out of my energy
Yeah.
here. It's
Yeah.
like, first off, I mean, since the pandemic, I think a lot of us have been kind of like, online more than probably normal. I know I have been, even with work and stuff, more forced to doing, uh, online stuff more so than when we were maybe more face to face.
Yeah.
But the thing is, also going on to social media, since I'm kind of new to social media, I was like, I'm online way too much now, like, and it's draining my energy. And I'm,
It's
again, one of these people that is more nature. I'm a nature type of person. I like being outdoors. I like connecting to nature. And that's how I fuel my energy, is being around people, and then also nature and animals.
oh
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
And
And I
that
think a lot of
fuels me.
people are like that, but they just
Yeah.
sometimes don't realize it.
Mm,
Right. And I think, we're losing a lot of that. And it's really unfortunate. And I know I hate that I'm on the computer as much as I am. Like I get off of it, I'm like, oh God, what do I do now?
yeah. But do you
Right.
find your brain feels mushy after
Oh
you've
yeah,
like been on for a while? Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Totally drained. I'm like, God,
Yeah.
I'm so mentally tired.
Yeah.
I'm not really
Exactly.
physically tired, but
Mm.
mentally, I'm,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, and one thing I'm trying to do, and I do it on Tuesday and Thursday nights, is I'm in a study group for this I'm working on taking this project management exam. So that's taking a lot of my time and brain power right now as I'm trying to do all these
Yeah.
practice questions, and I have to sit there on the computer. It's like a 4-hour test, I'm like, I really don't like that. But yeah, once I get off of it, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
So
That's like personally, I don't even like buying books online, like to read online. I'd rather
I
get
know. I'm like,
a
how are
book.
people doing that?
I don't
Like with
know.
these
I don't
Kindles,
know. Yeah. I
people
don't
act like
know.
it's
Yeah.
so
And
great.
there's
And
nothing like the new book smell. That's a thing. Like when you go to like Barnes and Nobles, it's the smell of books. You don't get
Exactly.
that on a Kindle.
Exactly. I don't like having to look at the computer and constantly and not only that, like when you're doing the Kindle, it's like, if I mean, I like putting where I left off on the page and coming
yeah,
back to that page. Whereas on the Kindle, I find like I get myself distracted and easily when you're on the computer, your notifications can be on or something could happen. A text comes in, you get pinged. And it's like, oh my God, talk about distractions. It's like you can't even
yes,
focus on reading.
you can.
It's
You
like,
Yep.
can't.
I won't
And
do it anymore.
yeah, and what I love, and like my favorite thing about going into Barnes and Noble, or the bookstore, I used to love to do this when I was working in Philly. Um, I love to go and look at the books on the shelf, and I love to read the titles, and they would inspire me and give me different ideas. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I can be doing this or that, or ooh. And then, but when on the Kindle, I'm like, I don't get that,
Yeah. And too much
right?
staring at the screen bothers your eyes.
It does. My eyes
Yes,
have
that
gone
too.
gone
Exactly.
really bad, and
Yep.
Mhm.
I have this
Yeah.
one thing. I have a lazy eye where my eye will turn out and kind of like make a little bit of a blind spot. Um, and I've just had it as a child, and it particularly happens when my eyes get really tired. Um, so I struggle. Like even these glasses, like I had these glasses, and then all of a sudden, a couple months ago, I'm like, I can't see as clearly out of these glasses. And I got a stronger prescription. And then I felt like I was going to get an even stronger prescription from my eye doctor. I'm like, what's happening here? Excuse me. I'm looking at the phones and the computer too long. So what I did was I actually had taken off the glasses, and I was trying to like go, wear it very little. And I got like a chain to take it off. Even now I should probably be taking it off because I'm right up to the computer, and it's a little blurry, but I can pretty much see. But it's like, um, you know, I'm nearsighted and I really don't need the glasses to use the phone. But guess what? I'm lazy and I don't take it off.
Right.
So that deteriorates my eyes right there. So
Mm.
there's so many like little things, and it's like, yeah, but I'll just be on here for a second. I don't need to take my glasses off. Hour or two later, yeah, I should have taken my glasses off. Right. So those little things can definitely happen. But yeah, but we're coming to the end of our time now. And I'm so glad that you guys were able to join, and thank you so much for your thoughtful insight. And I'm glad that I hope that you found this interesting and useful to you. If you have any other tips to share, please feel free to post them. I will post the link to this event. Otherwise, I wish you a great rest of your evening, and a great week. And I hope to see you again at the next event.
Good
Sounds
night.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.